Welcome everyone to the Community Foundation's Grant Seeker Workshop for 2026. If you are new here, this is going to be exciting stuff. I'm telling you. But if you've been through this before, welcome back. And there are some new things that we'll be sharing with you, so it's not all old information. My name is Nicole Smokovich. I am the Executive Director of the Community Foundation. And today you're going to be hearing from Mia Hansen, who is our Director of Programs and Communications. And she will be taking you through the workshop today. So I will go ahead and turn it over, but we will have an opportunity at the end for questions, or if you want to put them in the chat as well, feel free. All right, take it away, Mia.
Thank you, Nicole. And as we mentioned earlier, we are recording this, so um, just giving you guys a heads up, but that will also make it available after our seminar, so you guys can go back and review any information if you need to, or if you've registered and weren't able to attend, you can still meet your requirements for that first-time applicant. So let's just dive right in, figure out how to go to the next slide. Okay. So here at the Community Foundation, our mission is to connect people who care with causes that matter. We help donors build endowments to support their favorite causes in Kankakee and Iroquois County. And our purpose is to enhance the quality of life in Kankakee and Iroquois County today and for the future. Awarding grants to nonprofit organizations that serve members of our community is one way we can fulfill our mission and purpose. Last year, we awarded just under $240,000 to nonprofits across the Kankakee and Iroquois County area through our grant awards. We accept all of our grant applications through our online portal, which you can access on our website, www.cfkrv.org. Hopefully, you're a little bit familiar with the website, have navigated through that grants tab and found some of that information. There you're going to find the grant guidelines, some of the grant writing tools and the resources, our recent grants, and some of our stories of impact. Oh, to be eligible for an award, you have to be a 501c3 charitable organization by the IRS or a quasi-governmental agency such as a school, a library, or a park district. If you would like to apply and don't have a 501c3 designation or qualify under that quasi-governmental category, you can have a fiscal sponsor represent you. So if that fiscal sponsor is a 501c3, they can apply on your behalf. But just keep in mind that there can only be one application per organization. So if you're a fiscal sponsor or if you're being a fiscal sponsor for somebody, you also then won't be able to apply. Or if you have an organization that's large with many departments, just make sure that only one department is applying during that grant cycle. The Community Works grants are being made available for projects addressing issues in our three focus areas, and that is early childhood education, land use and protection, and workforce development. Grants can be awarded for up to $10,000 per application, and then you'll have to determine which of these three focus areas your program or project falls under. Your program can fall under more than one, and you'll just be asked to identify which one is the primary and which one's the secondary. So make sure that you have viewed those grant guidelines. I did send an email out last night with a link to the grant guidelines. They're on our website where you can find them under the grants tab. And then also as you move through the application, it'll let you know right away. Please make sure you viewed these and it'll give you a link to go to that webpage. So the first area of our Community Works grant is early childhood education. So this slide lists the key priorities that fall under this umbrella. So priority will be given to the projects and programs that address the following, and that includes improving the quality of childcare, support for parent education, improving the access to children's mental health services, and improving the quality and accessibility of early childhood education services. And it's important to note that for this grant, the early childhood education age range is considered 0 to 8. The next focus area is land use and protection. So this priority for the focus area includes expanding community involvement in land development with special consideration of our rivers for recreation, preserving our rural charm, and addressing transportation challenges and planning for responsible county infrastructure and zoning. And then lastly, for workforce development, this focuses on programs and projects assisting underemployed and unemployed with entering the workforce, increasing job opportunities through partnerships and community organizations, as well as preparing youth for entry-level employment. We also support programs that build soft skills and provide hands-on work experience, including programs that help individuals with disabilities enter the workforce and secure employment using the skills that they've learned. And as we mentioned, all the applications are completed in our grants portal, and you can find that on our website under the grants tab. This is where you're going to submit your application, also where you're going to go to submit any follow-up forms for your evaluations or grant acceptance. And then if we have any, if we need any correspondence particularly to your grant, you'll find that in the portal as well. One big thing about the portal is that if your organization has already applied for a grant, or if you've already been in the portal and created a profile, whoever initially sets up their profile for the organization, it kind of hosts the entire organization. So say I went to go apply for a grant 2 years ago, even if I didn't submit the grant, even if I've just like gone in and set it up for the community foundation, then say Nicole, a year later wanted to go and set up a profile, you would have to contact me so that way I can just add you to the organization. It's not going to hurt anything if you do end up making duplicate organization profiles, but it just gets kind of messy when you have information in more than one place. There's more than one account with the same EIN number. So if you've already applied before, if somebody in your organization has applied before and you need somebody new added to your organization, just give us a call or send me an email, and then I can get your profile added to that organization. And then of course, if you forget your password or something, there's a prompt on there to reset your password, but you can always email me if you're having any issues getting in. So now we're going to talk about like the application portal and what it looks like. I did send an email out yesterday that had these presentation slides, and I've since updated them because I forgot that the portal looks different on your guys' end versus my end now. My end still looks the same, but yours is a little bit more bubbly. So the layout's a bit different, especially if you've applied before and you're seeing it now, things kind of look a little bit rearranged. So once you create your profile and log in, your home screen is going to be blank, especially if you've never been in here before, if your organization hasn't applied for any grants. So you're just going to go over, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but I have it circled here where it says apply and see opportunities. And once you click that, you'll see the opportunities that are available now. And since the grants are already open, you can go ahead and click apply. So once you start your application, you can sign in and out of the grants portal to work on your application as many times as you would like up to the deadline. So if you have an active request, it's going to show up on your dashboard, and then you'll just have to select continue here to re-enter your application. Just make sure at the bottom of your application you're hitting save, so that way you're not losing any of your work when you leave and come back. A good tip for when completing, completing your application is if you have something that's a little bit lengthier, you might want to type it up in a Word document and copy and paste it into the application. This one is pretty good about saving as you go, but obviously we know with technology, there's always a chance we could lose our work. So it's just best practice if you want to type it in Word and then paste it over into your application. There's several parts to the application, so you'll complete the questions in each section, and the system does use conditional logic, so questions may appear or disappear based on how you answer the questions. Anything that has a star next to it, you obviously have to complete. And then with this platform, there is an opportunity for you to collaborate with other users. So this is specifically important for those who are represented by a fiscal sponsor. So it'll prompt you to invite your fiscal sponsor to collaborate on this application. That way you guys can both see what's going on. And then there's certain questions that only apply to the fiscal sponsor and that they have to, upload, their documentation. But you can also use this if you and another person in your organization are working on it together or you want them to have access to it. I believe you can select if you want them to have access to edit or just to view. But this is a good way for you to collaborate on this application. So here's just an overview of all the required documents and attachments that are needed for your application. So this is a big reason why we have this Grant Seekers workshop. We want you guys to be prepared to know what our expectations are, and so that we can make sure that we're providing you with the right resources to submit the best application that you can. So you see there's a project budget, a timeline, your letter of determination, your 990, some financial statements, your governing board. And now we're going to dive into each piece just a little bit more. So the first thing under your project information, you're going to see there's a required budget upload. So the grants committee has asked that we use a uniform budget spreadsheet so that they can capture all of the relevant and necessary information. But this also lets you, the applicant, know what we're expecting. So you can find this spreadsheet. It's actually included on our website under the grant writing resources. But as you work through the application, as soon as you get to this budget question, it's going to give you a notice saying, there's a required grant budget spreadsheet for you to fill out, and you can download it here. So then once you download that, you can fill it in with the information that you already have. And then I'll show you some examples of I guess what our expectation is, what a good budget looks like, what a bad budget could look like. So here we have a green smiley face. So you're going to have a description of your items, but as you can see with this example, it's detailed, it's descriptive, it's organized by the different categories, and they kind of have subcategories. They have the cost of each individual item, the cost of what you're requesting from the community foundation and your grant, and then the amount that's funded from other resources, and then it just totals in a percentage on the end. Also this year, we've added the budget narrative, so that gives you an opportunity to explain your budget in a little bit more detail. But it's really important for this to be, like I said, detailed and organized. This is an example of an okay budget. We still have the different categories, but it just says workshops. It doesn't give me, how many there are and how much, each one's going to cost, or it just says marketing, like what does that include? So it leaves a lot to the imagination. And then this one, and I have to say, I have seen some that look like this. It just says the program and then it just has an amount. So the grants committee could look at this and have lots of questions. So like I said, you want to give as much information in an organized way as possible. The next, we have a project timeline. So also new this year is we have kind of like a timeline narrative. So it'll ask you, using a timeline of your project or program, please describe in detail how your grant will be implemented. So this is giving specific dates, times, and the different topics or details throughout your program. And this way, the committee has a clear understanding of the plan to execute your program, and it's helpful when completing evaluations and planning site visits. So that way we know if there's something important that maybe it's only hosted on one day for some reason, and this is when we need to go if we want to do a site visit or capture information, or maybe we have multiple opportunities to come visit, or maybe your timeline, your project hasn't started yet, or it doesn't end until a certain date. So that's when we know when we can, expect the completion of the project. So on the left here, I just wrote a little timeline narrative. I won't read it all out to you, but I will have the slides available to you guys so you guys can go over it. But it talks about, little tiny one sentence summary of the program, what it's doing, when it starts, what they're going to be doing in June and July, what they're going to be doing in August, when the workshops start, how many there's going to be, that it's expected to go the entire school semester. And then also attached is an entire layout of their seminars and time and their workshops. For one that's just a not so good timeline is if you just say, when we received the grant, we began in August. They'll be about every month. In November, we'll host an etiquette dinner. The program will end in May. So I have no specific dates, no specific details, no meat and potatoes, so to say. Next, we're going to move on to the letter of determination. So if you're a 501c3 or you have a fiscal sponsor, you should have a letter of determination. So this is your tax exempt letter that we're requesting. The 501c3 letter of determination is from the IRS. And then this organization, this has your organization's information on the left here. And then down here, it'll tell you this determination letter issued on the date granted that you guys are a 501c3. So it also clearly states your tax ID number right here on the right-hand side. What we do kind of see sometimes that can be confusing is this Illinois tax exempt certificate. So this is not what we're looking for. This is not your letter of determination. This is just the Illinois tax exempt certificate. And then most tax exempt organizations are required to file an annual return. Which form that you need to fill out depends on your financial activity. So this chart is on our website under the grant writing resources, and it'll tell you which of the 990s that you're required to file. Or yeah, it looks like I said, most tax exempt organizations do. So this can be in the form of a 990, the 990 Easy, or the 990 postcard. And then when submitting these, just to make sure that they are like the last completed year. So I know this is 2026, but your 2025 audit should be done already. So even if you're applying in 2026, we're looking for that 2025 information. And then if your organization is not required to upload a 990, we will need your organization's current W-9, and that looks like this. Next, we'll request the governing board. So we don't have like a too much of a requirement for this, just for your board, like with their first and last name, their city and state of residence, where they work and their title, and then if you include their email address. This is some of the things, or these are all the things that if we received, say in a spreadsheet or Word document, we would find acceptable as documentation. And then onto some of our financials. So the balance sheet, or also referred to as a statement of financial position, this is going to disclose your assets and your liabilities. So we often see people get these mixed up with kind of a profit and loss or cash flow or their revenue and expenses. And that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for the balance sheet that has the assets and liabilities. And I'll show you what that looks like. So this is a balance sheet. I highlighted in green here, assets, liabilities, net assets. And this is the statement of financial position. And then this versus this, which is the balance sheet, this has the revenue and expenses, and this is not what we're looking for as far as that financial documentation. And then it will ask you to provide a financial audit. So if your organization is required to file a financial audit, we ask that you do submit it. Once again, it's your organization's responsibility to know what's required. So we do, I believe this is on the website under the grant writing resources as well. And it also links to the state website with more information. So it just lets you know, where you're at as far as I think it's how your donations come in or your awards come in if you're supposed to do just like a full audit or maybe a shortened audit, or we just need like that financial statement. So once all of the required questions are answered, all of those documents are uploaded, you can go ahead and submit your application. So it also always reminds you of the due date at the bottom. You'll just hit submit application. If you still see it in draft mode, that means it's not submitted yet. And so just make sure, as a reminder, that everything's going to be due by Friday, March 2nd. So once that's done, after everything's submitted, they're reviewed and evaluated. So the staff will complete a staff review, and this is to determine if all your attachments are current and correct, and then also to make sure that your grant fits into our 3 focus areas. And then after that, it gets assigned to our grants committee, where they'll do their evaluation process before they meet to make their final recommendations. So as you see here, they're looking for a clear purpose. Is it serving a high need population? Are your goals measurable and attainable? Is your budget realistic? Are you collaborating with other organizations? And what's your plan for either future funding or continuing the program? And then after the 2-step review process, and once the grants committee makes their recommendations, we bring those to the board to have them approved. And then once they're approved, we can let you guys know. We'll notify you if you've been selected for award. So you're going to see your an award acceptance form in the grants portal. So normally I'll either give a phone call or send an email to let you know that we've approved you for award and to review the document in your portal so that way you can accept or decline that award. So instructions are given to complete that follow-up. For this round, we will be letting applicants know by April or around April 20th, and then we'll have that follow-up form due by May 1st to have you accept your awards. We do list the email here, the administrator at grantinterface.com. Sometimes our communications get sent directly from the grants portal, and they will come from this email instead of my email or Nicole's email or info box. So having this saved in your contacts is a good way to make sure that they don't get lost in spam or anything like that. And then those receiving an award will be invited to our annual awards luncheon. So this is typically held in May. I believe the tentative date is May 28th this year. But you will have you'll be invited to the awards luncheon. You'll get 1 free ticket for for a representative of your organization to attend. And then we will be handing out the awards at the luncheon. And then we also encourage you to invite other members of your organization or your board. Last year was fun. We were at Adventure Commons and they got to play a lot of games. There was some, I think, like volleyball and dodgeball. So hopefully we come up with something creative and fun for you this year. And for grant reporting, so when you fill out that acceptance form, it's going to ask you how you would like to report on your grant. So we do have the option now to do a written evaluation, to do a phone or a Zoom interview, to do a video submission or a site visit. And then either way, your choice of grant reporting for this grant will be due by December 18th, 2026. So sometimes with the site visits, they do get pushed after January, but as long as we've had communication to schedule that prior to the grant due date, then that's fine. And then, like I said, it also depends on your program. If there's like a specific date that is better for you for a site visit or completing that, then we can work with you on that. I love to say the site visits and those video submissions have been some of the most fun evaluations that we've received. and have performed. The site visits are always great. It's a great opportunity for us to take pictures to just see, firsthand your program and your project. But if you've applied for a grant before and it's kind of the same program we've seen in the past or done in the past, sometimes a site visit isn't the best option. And then the video submissions, those have been really fun, just to see a lot of footage of the grant and the project and kind of see it almost like in real time. So that's a great one too. And then just to show you, like I said, since the portal has changed a bit, all the written evaluations, the grant correspondence, and the grant acceptance form are going to be assigned as a follow-up form in the portal. And then you will see that under, it says assigned to you, and or action needed. So if you have an open application or you have a pending form, it's going to show up under this action needed. And then it'll also show you that if something specifically assigned to you or past due, to go ahead and get that completed. And then this slide just has some dates to remember. So today the application's opened. They're going to be due on Friday, March 2nd, or Monday, March 2nd, not Friday. We'll let you know by around April 20th if you've been awarded. And then the deadline to accept your award will be May 1st. And then a tentative date for that luncheon is May 28th, but we'll definitely let you know if that changes. And then those are when the checks will be distributed. And then all the evaluations will be due by December 18th. So I did see the chat getting a little busy, so I'm guessing those are questions. But if you ever have any questions about the application, a document won't upload, you're not sure if this is the right thing, you can't convert your Word document to a PDF or something like that, just reach out and let me know. My office number is up there. My extension is 102, but emailing me is the best way. You can send me an email and I can troubleshoot that with you. Um, so I'm going to close this and we're going to turn to the chat and we can see if you guys have any questions. And then after that, you guys can definitely chime in and let me know if there's anything else that you guys have a question on.
Good job, Mia. I
Thanks.
just want to clarify the part where it talked about the audit, the financial audit. Um, we know that 2025 just ended, so we know that some of you will probably be submitting your audit for 2024. But if you do have 2025 done and ready to go, yes, we would absolutely love to see that. So the most recent audit and financial statements will be the most beneficial to us.
And then someone had just asked in the chat, is this a choice when we submit when awarded? Nicole did answer, yes, the awardee has a choice of how they would like to report on their grant. So it's going to ask you when you fill out your grant acceptance form, how you'd like to report. And then if it's a written evaluation, it'll just be assigned. If you choose any of the other options, I'll send you an email to make sure that we get that scheduled, or you can send me an email, or you can just send like your video or whatever over to the email. Does anyone else have any questions that
Feel
haven't
free
been
to
asked
unmute.
yet, that haven't been answered? You guys can take yourself off mute if you want. Nobody? I hope that means I covered everything. And like I said, please reach out, especially if you're a new organization and you haven't been in the portal. Um, the program's really user friendly, but like I said, sometimes it's just your file's too big because there's like a file. It'll tell you an upload limit. So sometimes your file's too big and you can't upload it. I've had people just email it to me. I can compress it and put it in the back end. So thank you, Julie. All right.
And just a reminder again that those examples of the documents are on our website under grant resources, correct, Mia?
Yes, and then,
And
well, not all of them, some of them. I think the letter of determination and the project or the budget is.
budget.
But I am going to send the slides over to everybody who is registered, so you'll have all the information.
Wonderful. Okay, yes, because some organizations have been kicked out for not having the required documentation. So I just want to reiterate that. Let's get you on to where the grants committee um, looks over your grant. So, all right. If there's no other questions, we will give you back the rest of your hour. Everyone have a wonderful day. Stay warm, and hopefully the weather decides to calm down a bit. So, thank you very
All
much.
right. Thank
Take
you,
care.
everybody. Take care.